It all starts with an idea, right? A blueprint, maybe sketched out under the California sun.
But that's just the start. The actual stuff that makes it work, the raw materials, the very heart of the device, well, that's mined thousands of miles away deep in the earth. And from there, they travel across entire oceans, ending up in these massive factories where literally millions of hands work together to assemble the final product with incredible precision. And then, finally, after this huge global journey, it lands right here, right in your hands. You see, this massive invisible network, it's a part of our daily lives, whether we think about it or not.
So, this incredibly complex worldwide dance of resources and labor and ideas, it has a name: globalization. And today we're going to break down exactly what that means, how it all works, and why it is, without a doubt, one of the most powerful forces shaping our modern world.
All right, so let's dive right in. At its core, what are we really talking about when we use that word globalization? Well, to put it simply, it's all about breaking down barriers. Just picture a world where businesses and goods and even ideas aren't stuck inside one country's borders. That right there, that's the essence of globalization. Okay, so how did this even happen? What are the engines driving this incredible interconnectedness? What made our huge planet suddenly feel, well, so much smaller? It really comes down to three major forces, all working together to power this global machine. Let's break them down. First up, technology. And it's so much more than just the internet. Think about something kind of boring, the humble shipping container. I mean, that simple metal box completely standardized global freight. You could argue it did more to shrink the world than any single treaty. Technology is just constantly making distance cheaper and, honestly, less and less relevant. All right, next up, you've got multinational companies. We're talking about businesses that operate all over the world. They are always looking for two things: new customers to sell to and new places to find cheaper materials or labor. And that constant quest for growth, it's a super powerful engine for this whole interconnected web.
And finally, there's policy. Now, trade liberalization sounds complicated, but all it really means is that governments have agreed to make it easier to buy and sell stuff across borders. They lower the taxes on imports, those are called tariffs, and they simplify the rules. It's pretty simple. The easier you make it to trade, the more all of our economies get tangled up together.
But here's the thing. This whole massive shift, it's not a simple happy story of progress. Nope. For pretty much every powerful benefit, you can find a pretty significant drawback. It's a really complex picture with two very, very different sides. And this right here, this really gets to the heart of it. On one hand, you've got this incredible promise of growth and more choices and lower prices, but on the other hand, there's the very real risk of jobs being lost, major strain on our environment, and a real human cost. The most important thing is to understand both sides of this coin.
So let's look a little closer at the upside, the good stuff. For businesses, it's a dream come true. Way more customers and cheaper production costs. For us as consumers, it means we get way more choices and usually lower prices. And for a lot of developing nations, it can mean a flood of new investment and jobs that are desperately needed.
And just try to wrap your head around the scale of that positive impact. We're talking about 1.2 billion people lifted out of extreme poverty since 1990. And global trade is a huge part of that story. That's not just a statistic, that is a staggering, life-changing number. But then, we have to look at the other side, the hidden costs. When a company packs up a factory to find cheaper labor somewhere else, that can mean devastating job losses back home. And all that making and shipping stuff around the globe, it generates a massive carbon footprint. And maybe worst of all, it can create this terrible incentive to exploit workers in countries that just don't have strong laws to protect them.
And if you look at it from a business perspective, this whole thing creates constant, unrelenting pressure. Yeah, you can expand into new markets, that's the opportunity, but the challenge? You're now facing competitors from literally everywhere. You can source cheaper materials to cut costs, but that means you have to be incredibly efficient just to survive. It really is a high-stakes game of opportunity versus challenge.
So where does all this leave us? It's not really as simple as being for or against globalization. It's much more about finding the right balance. It's about figuring out how we navigate this incredibly complex, deeply connected reality we all live in.
Because this isn't just some minor trend we're talking about. It's a fundamental force, almost like gravity, that's shaping everything, from the job market right up to international relations. It is the essential backdrop for our entire modern economy.
And that brings us to the final and maybe the most important question. We know this force connects us all in ways humanity has never been connected before. So the real challenge, for all of us, is to figure out how we can harness all that power to build a system that isn't just efficient, but one that's also fair and sustainable for everyone on the